Hi, welcome to practice. It's been a little while since I've shot one of these videos, but I'm here inside of a pole tent, which is where I live. And I'm here with my dogs and my partner. And, there's a lot of things going on. I live on a farm, so all sorts of sounds and things like that. I just bring that up because, every once in a while you'll hear something and it might be a little bit confusing. Um, I think I've struggled for years with the idea that the way I can share yoga or offer it needs to be manicured in a particular way, or that there are those who can present it. I have a background in like theater and performance art and production, and I think that there's often this like desire to sort of make it so beautiful and well produced. And those things are wonderful, and I'm so glad that they exist, and they're for the folks that they're for at the time that they're for you, etc. Um, but I think that it's interesting to sort of offer this from this perspective, in the same perspective that I see a lot of folks streaming into class from with their pets in their pajamas in their real world, which means sometimes you have to stop and go like answer that text from your aunt, or you can only get 20 minutes into the class because you realize that you need something different. And so that's really the purpose here, is just that this be a tool for you to utilize. About an hour worth of flowing practice. The intention here is accessibility to those who are generally able-bodied, and space for you to do it however you'd like to. So feel free to change it. Let your intuition guide you, even if that means you do something totally different than I suggest. The one thing that I'll put forth is that I've been thinking a lot about time, especially in this study of yoga and time, and in rereading a particular translation of the Yoga Sutras of a text. Recently, I've come to part of it that I hadn't seen before, which is always kind of the nice thing about rereading something. But coming to it and seeing this idea that we self-make, that part of the chitta, part of the mind stuff, part of our experience of this like nature of self, right? It feels like it's inside. It's still part of nature. We're still witnessing it. It's still part of our experience of Prakriti. As we witness the chitta, the mind stuff, that one of the big aspects of the mind stuff is self-creation. And especially in this time of our species where individualism has become important and valuable in some ways, and also maybe as we reevaluate it, not the most important thing, harmful in other ways. It's pertinent to kind of think about how we self-make and sort of what we believe about the thing we think of as ourself. And when we practice non-attachment and this fluidity of being in this lifetime, this fluidity maybe of experience overall in this universe, you might just consider how the mind creates this narrative of like, this happened before and now I'm like this. This happened this way and now the world is this way. And instead of sort of honing into now, we often look at sort of a stream of like projected future and past, etc. And we create our identity inside of that. But considering that our yoga practice is really considering only now, right? How are things now? And each new now that comes forth to the practice. So as you practice your timing, we utilize a different mechanism of time measurement, the breath, really like a season of yourself. You might consider how you're following those seasons, and really um, what is required, right? What is really, of all the many voices and ideas and contexts of you-ness that arise, like, can you watch them? Can you witness them? Sometimes we can't help it. It's going to be the way it is no matter what. And the ask is really just that you pay attention. You pay attention to your timing and how you're self-making with that timing, and how you can free yourself from the binary of linear time, perhaps by coming back to that everything is a now of some kind, right? In the past, it was now then. And when it will be the future, it will be now then too, right? So continue to consider what is now, right? We don't have a lot of control over a lot of the rest of it, but you might consider witnessing what is in the present to the best of your ability, to the best of what is kind. All right. I like to get started with 3 rounds of the seed sound of Om. You might pick a comfortable seat or position for you. If Om or chanting isn't for you, feel free to sit in presence instead. There are many good reasons to draw to that conclusion. I offer Om as a secular or universal chant, the idea that the sound Om is the sound of everything, right, and everythingness. And so when we chant it, we chant our power and efficacy inside of that, as well as our humility and sort of smallness. You could close your eyes and let your hands rest in relative neutral. Again, stacking the sort of tree trunk of your spine, letting there be some buoyancy, not so old of a tree that the upper limbs don't still bounce with the wind. And feel where you make contact with the prop or the cushion or the floor. To clear and prepare the channel, take an inhale through your nose and open your mouth to exhale each a. Inhale for Om. Take a long inhale in through your nose and a slow exhale out. And right away, let's come forward to a hands and knees position. Keep breathing in that ujjayi in through your nose. Ujjayi out through your nose. And as you arrive in hands and knees, you might find that you need to shift forward and back a little, side to side, to find an appropriate measure of stacking or distance. It might feel nice to sink your hips to your heels and take a few breaths in child's pose. You might hang your head for a few breaths. You might shift around and just practice what it means to sort of shift and fidget and wiggle while still breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. We do this ujjayi pranayama. That pranayama form allows us space, at least in theory, to pay attention to the breath and intended rhythm, something that is second nature, but that comes into our first nature, voluntary and involuntary. As you return to stacked tabletop, you might choose to pad your knees or hands in any of these positions or to take a lift underneath either. We'll find some cow and cat breathing. So inhale to cow pose, drop your belly and ribs, lift your chin and tailbone up, and exhale to cat. Tuck your chin and round your spine. And follow your breath through these two actions, inhaling and exhaling. You can work with eyes open or closed. If you find being on your hands or your wrists is not so good for you, you could come to a seat, hips to heels, and do the same tilt in your spine. Or sit up on a chair and take this action to relieve the knees. And when you're ready, widen your knees and use an exhale to sink your hips to your heels, and we'll find our way to child's pose. You could stack your fists or forearms underneath your head. You could also choose to let the head hang on or towards the ground with the arms out long, or back by the side hips with the palms facing up. Try to breathe into the back of your rib cage and your lower spine. Noticing that the front of the body compressed into the legs of the floor might give you more room. And a big breath doesn't need to be stressful, right? Just large enough that it feels full without being extreme or requiring tightness. And if your arms are back by your hips, take them out long. Inhale up and forward into a tabletop shape. And take an exhale out through your nose to arrive there. And let's stretch through the back of the heart. Press down into your right hand and inhale to take your left arm out and then up, twisting up, gaze upward. Exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind. Come down to the shoulder, maybe the ear, jaw. You can always create a landing pad if you need to on your way down. Do anything you like with that opposite hand. It might stay where it is as you drop compression. You could reach it out or up behind your back. Take it out long in front of you. And remember to breathe and continue to remind yourself to breathe, and that breathing is really the thing that you're doing. You might consider this whole hour really a pranayama exercise, as we sort of call it these days. And return your right hand to the mat near your nose if you moved it. Inhale your left arm back out and up, reaching upward. Exhale to tabletop, 2 hands down. Weight in your left hand. And inhale your right arm out and then up, reaching upward. And exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind. Come down to shoulder, ear, or jaw and breathe. You might do the same variation that you did on the opposite side. It might be different. If you have to tense your neck and shoulders a lot to do it, you might consider doing it a percentage or two less, or changing what you need to feel supported. I often find that tension comes to play when we haven't figured out how to recruit support or strength or stability yet, and that's pretty normal. We've really been trained into that in many ways. And untraining those particular threads can take much practice. I'm going to turn your left hand to the mat. Inhale your right arm back out and then up, reaching upward. Exhale to tabletop. Inhale, cow pose. Curl your toes under. Exhale, down dog. Lift your hips and hang your head. You might walk out your dog, bend opposite knee to plug opposite heel down. You might come up onto the balls of your feet a few times, stretch into the arches. If you feel like you're very far forward and rounded in your upper back, that's pretty human, especially if you're strong in your low back and hamstrings. You might keep your knees very bent to shift weight back. Widen your hands to rotate your biceps forward, your index fingers a little more out. And always try hands and feet closer, feet and feet closer, further apart. Breathe into your back body. While it's not a resting position, it is often a place we return to reflect and to return to present tense awareness in the breath. And coming back to that point of view. All right, take an inhale. Come forward to plank position, Dandasana, upward push-up. Bring your shoulders over your wrists, and right away, exhale your knees to the ground. Take an inhale like cow pose, lift your chest. Exhale, bend your elbows in and back and lower just a little bit. Inhale, push back up. Exhale, lower just a little bit further. Inhale, press up. Exhale, lower all the way down, chest and chin or onto the belly. Inhale to cobra, slide forward, bring the tops of your feet down, lift your heart, maybe your gaze if your neck allows, and exhale, bring your chin or forehead down. Good, let's do 2 more of those. Inhale, cobra. And exhale to lengthen as you go down. 1 more time, inhale. And lift from the center of your back as opposed to the back of your neck or jaw. And exhale, lengthen to lower. Curl the toes and plug your knees down. Inhale up through plank on the knees. Exhale back to downward facing dog pose. All right, inhale up onto your tippy toes. Spike your heels all the way up. And exhale, bend your knees. High 10, 15 degrees. Maybe that's more like 30. Inhale, spin your tail up and press your heart back towards your thighs. Exhale, slowly drive your heels down. Try to sustain the lift of your sitting bones as you do. Inhale to your tippy toes and exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, tail up, heart back. Exhale, heels low. Inhale, tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. 1 more time. Inhale, extend through your shoulders, press into your thumbs. And exhale, your heels low. Good. Use your hands to pull. Inhale, forward, upward push-up plank. Always option to do this with knees on the ground. Exhale, press with your hands back to downward facing dog. Again, use the cuff of your armpits. Inhale, pull forward with your hands. Exhale, push back. 1 more time. Inhale, pull forward. It doesn't have to be all the way forward. Exhale, press back. Good. Inhale up onto your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. By straightening your legs and pressing with your feet, inhale, come forward to upward push-up plank position. Pull with your low belly as you exhale back to downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, pull back. Inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale out into a plank position. Listen. Exhale, bend your knees so they hover above the earth. Keep your knees bent as you inhale to spin your tailbone high, bent knee down dog. Exhale, drive your heels low. Classic dog pose. All right, take an inhale Up onto your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Last time like this. Inhale forward by pressing through your legs, plank position. Exhale, bend your knees to hover. Inhale to bent knee down dog. Push with your hands to lift your tail. And exhale, lower your heels. Good. Take an inhale to bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, slowly walk your feet up to where your hands are. Hang in a ragdoll form of folding. You might grab for your elbows. You might grab opposite hands behind your back. Grab a hold of the base of your neck or spine, gently creating traction. Feel free to bend your knees a little or a lot. Next couple of exhales, release your arms out of any chosen grip. And breath by breath, round up towards standing, one bone at a time. Take your time to drag your body slowly up. When you get to the top, use a couple of exhales to arrive. So take your time, and that might mean 5 or 10 breaths. It might mean 2 or 3. Rhythms will be different from day to day, breath lengths. And slowly take the time to arrive in an upright nature, whatever way that looks like for you. As you find your upright nature, relax the shoulder blades down your back. You might close your eyes or look out at one point on your horizon. We will not stand for a whole lot of this class. A lot of it will be lower to the earth. So just taking a moment to notice what it's like, part of your body that sort of lives in the clouds, your eyes and your mind, the listening in the air. What is there to pay attention to? Notice how you're placing yourself in time and space. If you're really organizational, you might be thinking about how this is still the beginning of class, etc. If you're used to the rhythm, notice the rhythm of your breath. Does it feel like it needs to be pushed faster by your mind, slower? How can you let the breath really be the guide, as opposed to all of our judgments, ideas, and decisions around it? What is really happening with the breath now? Take an inhale to sweep your arms up overhead in that standing position. Stretch up, maybe look up. And on your exhale, slowly bend your knees and forward fold. Dive all the way down once more. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart straight out. And exhale, fold. Soften your knees and step your left foot back. So you're in a long, low lunge. You could always put your hands up on blocks, or if you have nearby furniture or a chair is a great thing if you'd like a lift. Use the knee as well. Inhale to drop your back hip and knee, lift your heart forward and up, cow lunge. Exhale, straightening through both legs to some degree, cat lunge, let your spine round as you curl in. Inhale, low lunge, bend your front knee, and on the exhale, plant your left hand down on earth or prop, and inhale your right arm up, twisting as you gaze perhaps up past the thumb. Exhale, 2 hands down, step forward to folding, relax your neck. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart, feel free to bend your knees. Exhale, forward fold, and step your right foot back into a long, low lunging action. Tent to the fingertips once again, finding width from right to left that feels supportive as well. Inhale, cow lunge, dip your back hip. You might bend the knee as well. Exhale, cat lunging, rounding your spine like you did in the cat pose. Again, inhale, cow lunge, sink your hip low. Exhale, cat lunge. Inhale, low lunge, plant your right hand down. Sweep your left arm up, twisting to the left. Good. And exhale, 2 hands down. Step your right foot up with one or many steps into forward folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands. Step back to plank pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower all the way to the mat. Feel free to use your knees on the way. Cobra, tops of your feet down. Inhale, peel your heart up. Exhale, bring the upper body down and curl the toes. Lead with your tail. Inhale up through plank and exhale back to downward facing dog pose. Take an inhale, bend your knees. Look forward. Take an exhale, straighten your legs and hang your head. Sorry, I didn't mean to trick you, but that's something we do a lot. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, hang your head. So notice how you're doing it. Inhale, bend your knees, Only look as far forward as you need to. You might tilt your heart in that direction too. Exhale, straighten your legs and hang your head. This time, inhale onto your tippy toes. Then exhale, bend your knees. Maybe that's a little bit higher of a setting. Inhale, look forward. And on your exhale, step or maybe lightly hop forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Soften your knees and step your right foot back, long, low lunging style. This time, spin your back heel down. We'll inhale, open to warrior two pose, right? Again, a little bit of lunging, but not a whole lot. Inhale to straighten through your left leg. Exhale to bend your knee. So it doesn't have to be all the way straight or all the way bent, right? Inhale, extending, and exhale, bending again. All right, inhale, straightening. Exhale to bend your knee. Inhale, reverse your warrior. So take your left arm up and back, slide your right arm down your right leg, maybe looking up and back if the neck allows, or hang your head. And exhale, release your two hands down to frame your front foot. Spin your back heel, look forward, inhale. Exhale, step forward and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold and step your left foot back. Long, low, lunging action. Spin the heel down and inhale, warrior two, Virabhadrasana. Take your arms out and wide and exhale to arrive. And then again, plug into your right heel as you inhale to straighten the leg. Notice what happens with your hips and tail as you go, and exhale to bend your knee. Plug into your back heel, back leg is still nice and strong. Inhale to straighten and exhale to bend. A little bit of this Vini yoga action vibe. Inhale, straighten your front leg. Exhale, bend it and keep your right knee bent as you inhale to reverse the warrior. Toss the right arm up and back. You can always take a bent elbow. Drop your shoulder blade into your back to try to lift your center rib cage up. And exhale, two hands to the earth. Frame your right foot. Inhale, spin your left heel up, look forward. Exhale, step forward and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bring your feet to a comfortable distance. Hips distance might be the thing. Bend your knees for Utkatasana, hips low. Inhale, arms forward, out, or up, right? So you might reach out long. You could bring hands to the hips. If your arms are going up, try to lift your ribs forward and up so the action comes from the center and the center of intention, center of the spine and body. Take a big free inhale in. Exhale, forward fold. Dive down over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. All right, step your left foot back, long, low lunge. Drop your left knee down. Let's start there. And maybe top of the foot to the earth. You can always pad the knee if the kneecap feels tender. That, again, makes sense in the way that it displaces against the ground. You could climb up onto your right knee thigh. Sometimes staying low to the ground is the sort of meatiest place, the spot you want to be in. You can stay right here. Take your left arm up and start to reach up and back. Right, just a little bit. Every inhale, lift the front of your rib cage. And every exhale, you might tilt back. You could always keep your head upright and work through the shoulder socket. You could hang the head back and work towards a bit of backward bending. If it feels good, breath by breath, you might take it over to the side, a side body bending business. Breathe into any choice that you are making and stay stable in the front heel, driving the thigh bone back, and the back foot top, driving the thigh bone forward to the pelvis. Take an inhale, draw both arms up, and exhale, release. Bring your hands down on the inside of your right foot. I'm going to turn to face you and toe heel your right foot out to the right. So once your right foot has gone out to the right, you might find that you're in a wider setting in general. In these wide settings, sometimes we have to be mindful of our kneecaps and the way that they're turning with our ankles and hips. So just, check it out. You can always turn your right toes out to the right, clench your left hand down, and again, inhale the right arm up. So we twist to the right once more. From here, you might use your top right hand and the inside of your knee to help you turn and twist. You might bend your back knee and reach for your foot. Creating a quad stretch is always optional here. Exhale to release your hands down inside your right foot. Curl your back toes under and lift your back knee up off the ground. Now, if it feels like your legs are really far apart, you can scooch them in a little bit, but we just don't want to be in a place where this is super forward fold action. Take your hands and start to walk them out long in front of you. Right shoulder inside of your right knee. You might tend to your fingertips or press into a wall or furniture. Hang the head if you'd like. And if you'd like, you could take your right arm and snake it behind your right leg. Try to bring your right shoulder to the inside of your right knee. Your left elbow down to the earth, hanging the head, or perhaps bringing it behind the calf or shin. Think about your back left foot. If you climbed down under your leg, climb out. Take an inhale to lift your heart. Then your exhale, turn your right toes to the wide side of your mat or space and walk yourself all the way over to your left foot. Turn your left toes out for Skandasana. As you come down, sometimes people call this archer, various forms of warrior, salutation, squat. We're splitting, but we're also externally rotating our legs away from one another. So as you bend your knee, you might have to be a little higher. You might have to lift that left heel off the ground and find a place where you can stay for a few breaths. Take another inhale. And on the exhale, come back towards center and turn your feet parallel to one another. Inhale, unroll your heart. Exhale, folding, Prasarita Padottanasana. Press your hands into the ground and the crown of your head towards the earth, breath by breath. Good. Inhale, unroll your heart, half lift style. Exhale, walk your hands to your right foot, so going all the way back to the front. Take an inhale, look forward. On your exhale, step your left foot up to meet your right, back to forward folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chair pose. Utkatasana, fierce pose, is the Sanskrit wording, or more accurately presumed than chair, which is just kind of what it looks like. Take an inhale. And if you'd like on the exhale, try to sit down so your hips and your knees are in one line. Right, that idea of sort of thunderbolt action. You might draw the floor of your pelvis up as you flare your tail out and draw your navel back. Take an inhale. Exhale, forward fold, hang the body down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold and step your right foot back, long, low lunge. Drop your right knee down, walk your left foot out if you wish. Right hand down, inhale, left arm up, twist to the left. Now you might stay here. I like to take my leg really wide. That external rotation feels good. Something more narrow or hugged in feels better for some. You might bend your back knee or reach around and grab your foot. There's so much biodiversity in our species, so much experiential diversity. You have to give yourself a lot of credit for finding your way through. Nobody can tell you the right answer because only you will ever know any of those things. You always have the first person perspective, more so than anyone else. You're always welcome to stay along a vein of anything that works really well. Before we go all the way down, we're going to do a little bit of that stretching in the front of the body. So walk your left foot in and climb up onto your knee thigh. You might stay right here, reach your right arm up, inhaling and exhaling to start to backward bend slowly. Try to relax your shoulders, inhaling and exhaling to move from center. You might continue here, stay upright or tilt over to the left side, creating length. It might feel different to do this in a different order on this side. You can always chalk it up to me forgetting, but you can also consider just that it doesn't need to be perfect, and that might be a way to practice ritual as well. You can inhale to rise, back up through center, and exhale, release 2 hands down inside your left foot. Walk it out if it's narrow a bit. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up. With your shoulder inside your knee, start to walk your hands out long in front. I like to come really high on the ball of my back foot so that there's energy kicking through the heel. Hang the head, press into the hands. You might consider what it would take to get strong in your right leg and hands so much you could lift your left foot off the ground. Some of you probably just tried that and succeeded. I cannot do it, but it's something to consider, right? How do you use oppositional action of energy in your body to create lightness, freedom, and space in other places. You could stay here, take your left arm around behind your left leg, trying to bring your shoulder behind your knee. You might stay there or come down to your right forearm so that you can start to bring your face towards your shin or your head behind your calf. You never need to put your leg behind your head for your success in yoga to be complete. Remember that all things are just ideas that we're working with. The idea of you in this lifetime has got to be bigger than the idea of the yoga pose. Good. And slowly coming out, identify your back leg, inhale, and exhale to walk your way over towards your right foot. That would look like this. I'm going to turn around as to be with you on screen. And come all the way over to your right foot in this case and drop yourself all the way down. Yeah. So again, your heel might be up off the ground. You might be higher in this setting. A lot of us come to this place and work. Turn that other leg in and out and try to move the toes up towards the sky so that we're doing something a little bit different. And inhale back through center and exhale to parallel your feet. This time you might inhale to unroll your heart and exhale to take your arms out wide. Now from here you could take your hands behind your back and interweave your fingers if you'd like. Take an inhale and exhale to fold. If you want to work on something, but that's not for you, you could grab for opposite elbow or grab a hold of a kerchief or bandana between your hands. Breath by breath, plug your heels down, straightening your legs by engaging through the mid-seam of the thighs and quads. Letting your shoulders perhaps rotate. You can also bend your elbows, separate the palms, and get a little compression in the shoulders by taking this variation instead. Next, exhale 2, release your hands down. Inhale like a halfway lift. Go towards your left foot. On the exhale, curling around towards the front of the mat once more. Inhale to look forward. Exhale to step forward and fold. All right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and step back to plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale and exhale to lower halfway. Inhale, upward dog, or choose a cobra from your belly down position. Exhale back to down dog. So you're always welcome to do any form of flowing, to skip out or to move on or to do a different variation. And come down to the belly and take cobra. Hang out in plank, go to child's pose, tabletop, downward facing dog pose. I'm going to do a little bit of flowing through some of the postures that we've already done in some degree of order. Give yourself a little space to move with breath, and really to let the breath move you. You don't have to create a performed grace. You might just bear witness to the grace that is already present. Take an inhale to bend your knees and look forward. And exhale to the top of your mat in your own way. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, sink your hips. Inhale, fierce pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold and step your right foot back. Right heel down. Inhale all the way to reverse warrior. So up through warrior 2, swing your left arm up and back. Exhale, straighten your left leg and keep on going as you turn your left toes into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, side squat towards your right foot. There won't be a test, so if you end up on the other side, it's fine. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana style. Inhale like a halfway lift, unroll. Exhale, low lunge towards your left foot. Inhale, cow lunge. Exhale, straighten your front leg, cat lunging style. Good. Inhale, bend your front knee. Exhale, your right hand down, and inhale your left arm up. Twist to the left. Exhale your left hand down and your right knee down, top of your right foot down. Inhale, reach your right arm up, maybe left hand on the left knee, and exhale to lean back like a backward bend. Inhale back up through center. And exhale, 2 hands down inside your left foot. Good. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your left arm up. And on the exhale, reach back and bend through your right knee, even if you don't grab your foot. Inhale, slowly return to center. And exhale, plank pose, upward push-up position. Take a big free inhale, listen. Exhale, bend your knees to hover above the earth. Inhale, bent knee, down dog, spin your tail high. Exhale, classic dog pose. Inhale, bend your knees, lift your gaze. Exhale to the top or where your hands are. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold and bend your knees, sink your hips. Inhale, fierce pose, listen. Exhale, hands back by your hips, airplane wings style, maybe all the way back to interweave the fingers. Take an inhale, lift the heart open through the front rib cage, sternum and breastbone. And exhale, slowly release. You might keep this action with your hands for another breath or so, or slowly letting the arms hang down. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold and step your left foot back. Good. Spin your left heel down. We're going to go all the way. Inhale to the reverse warrior. Out, up, and back. Nice. And exhale your hands to the earth. Spin your back heel up. Inhale, cow lunge, dip your back knee, lift your heart. Exhale, cat lunge, straightening your front leg. Good. Inhale, low lunge. And on the exhale, bring your left hand down and inhale your right arm up. Take a big free breath in. And exhale, 2 hands down inside your right foot. Inhale. Exhale, walk your way all the way over to your left foot, side squatting action. Good. Inhale, back up through center. And exhale, folding forward, Prasarita Padottanasana. Inhale, unroll your heart back to your right foot. On the exhale, spin your way around. Good. Drop your back knee down. Inhale, your right arm up. Twist to the right once more. And on an exhale, circle your right arm back and bend through your left knee, even if you don't get anywhere in the vicinity of your foot. Good. Inhale, plant your right hand down, pull your heart forward, curl your back knee up. Exhale to plank position, step your right foot back. Inhale your shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, bend your knees to hover above the earth. Inhale, bent knee, down dog. Exhale, classic downward facing dog pose. Good. Inhale, take your right leg up and back, Ekapada, Adho Mukha Svanasana, one-footed dog. And you might think about this whole squaring the hip thing, right? Your hips are round and it's like radically awesome. So try not to worry too much about squaring them, but consider instead what it means to lift both of your hips up equally while rotating your lifted leg in, thigh bone internally a bit in the hip socket. Reach back through your right foot and start to lift your left heel and bend your left knee so your standing hamstring has some relief. Maybe you can lift your right leg even higher. From there, if you'd like to use an exhale to scorpion your dog, open your hip, bend your knee, move it around. Feel free. Continue to consider the structure of the spine and your breath. Inhale to reach and extend. And on an exhale, we'll come into half pigeon pose. So Ekapada Raja Kapotasana is a posture that is not necessarily accessible to everybody. So if you come here and your knee hurts, your ankle hurts, or it just feels like a lot of pressure, you're way high up off the ground, know that one of the things you can do is stand up, stand your left foot on the ground, put your right leg in this shape onto a chair or onto the edge of a bed in front of you, and walk your other leg back. That way you get to decide just how deep you need to go. You can also roll onto your back, which I'll do in a moment. Take the figure 4 shape. If you're here and you just need a little bit of something, you might try a block or a cushion underneath your right butt cheek or underneath the front of your left hip. For some people, that gives you the support that feels good. You might also stay upright and work to breathe here. If it feels good to fold forward and down, feel free to come forward and down onto hands or forearms. You don't necessarily need to flex your right ankle. If you feel like it helps your knee not be twisting or it feels good, always feel free to experiment with it. Notice what tendons it tenses, right? What areas become tight. Adjust your right heel towards your left hip as much as you need to. That version lying on the back looks like this. You cross the right leg over and you can either sit up or lay all the way down. Once you're down, and also lift the opposite leg up and pull in. And again, consider that often flexing the ankle in these actions is to help us not sickle the foot or turn the ankle sideways. That's like this thing, right? But notice that you can flex your foot and still do that. So the idea might be more just considering how to keep balance in your ankle. All right, if you came down, slowly press yourself up. Curl your back toes under, step back to down dog or to tabletop and move your leg around a little bit. When you're ready, inhale your left leg up and take a moment again. Try to figure out sort of where leg up feels good for you, right? Sometimes this feels balanced, sometimes this feels balanced, but don't just drop your hip down and say, I squared my hip. Know your body, know yourself. When you're ready, if you'd like to open up the hip on purpose, feel free to bend the knee and scorpion out your dog. Feel free to lift high on the ball of your right foot again and bend your knee if that was interesting in your standing leg. And when you're ready, use an exhale to draw your left leg through into half pigeon on this side. You can stay lifted and tall. There are definitely active versions. If you really dislike this pose, you might repeat a lizard pose or dragon, that wide-footed step of a lunge with the back knee down. Take any alternative that feels best for you. And again, returning to the breath as an action to return to now. How is it now? What are you feeling? Who do you perceive yourself as you move through this nowness, if at all? See if you can watch the self-making. These physical practice of yoga, asana, pranayama, are designed in many ways or thought of something to affect our karmasya, the part of us that acts, takes action in this lifetime, part of us that passes action on into future lifetimes, generations, etc. Notice what's been passed to you. Not everything in your karmasya is necessarily something that you caused, but it is something that you're now responsible for. And as you're ready, press yourself up. Curl your back toes under. Step back to down dog. Any form that serves. All right, inhale out into a plank, an upward push-up position, and exhale to lower all the way down. I'm going to do a little bit of spinal strengthening. So if this feels like a good position, keeping your hands under your shoulders, little mini cobra action is the thing. You can draw your shoulders more forward as long as your neck doesn't feel wild, and use your upper back more if you like. That's the reason we see that in some styles of yoga, is it allows us to recruit some upper back strength. We're really going to try to focus on the lower back though, so either way is good. You can even keep your forehead on the ground, your palms crossed underneath. Take a big free inhale, either lift a cobra or keep the head down to protect the neck. And on your exhale, start to really extend your legs straight, reach through your toes and press the tops of both feet down. And then inhale, lift your right straight leg up off the ground. Try not to bend your knee, press back through the big toe point, the ball mount. Keep pulling your heart forward away from your leg, pulling back. Breathe. Press your left foot down into the ground, top of your left hip. Take an inhale. On your exhale, lower slowly through your right leg, continuing to keep it straightening. Take an inhale. And use the exhale to bring your upper body down if you raised it. If you're lifting the upper body, inhale, lift it up. And on your exhale, kick into the tops of both feet. Inhale, lift your left leg a few inches off the ground, right? Just as high as you can lift it without bending your knee. Maybe the quad or the knee will lift off the ground. Keep breathing forward and notice if your leg wants to turn way out or in. Consider what it takes to find neutrality in the socket of your particular hip. Take an inhale and exhale, slowly lengthen as your left leg goes down. Take an inhale and exhale, bring your upper body down. All right, take your hands back by your hips and flip your palms up from your shoulders so the tops of your hands are down. Spread your fingers wide and exhale, roll your shoulders forward and down. And then inhale, lift your upper body up. Your head and neck don't need to lift and gaze. Exhale there. And use an inhale to lift your legs up off the ground. Your legs don't have to be together, but you might be bringing them together. This is a form of Shalabhasana, locust pose. Breathe. You might practice Uddiyana and Mula Bandha, gathering the floor of your pelvis up to support your lower back. And exhale slowly. Bring it all down. Press into your hands and inhale up to tabletop position. On your exhale, find your stack, shoulders over wrists. You might go from side to side a little bit, back and forth. You might lift your heart and drop your tail, a few cow cats. Roll through your neck and head if it feels good. And remember, let your neck and head, the brainstem space, relax and release. Got a good reminder about that this week. All right. Rise to standing on your knees, like you're going to be knighted, damed. Hopefully, eventually, there'll be a non-gendered term for whatever that is in royal court. All right. Give yourself a little space to think about what it would be like to press into your legs, like what a gesture like this already is. This isn't necessarily a pose, right? But you're doing something with your body. You're making a shape. So could it be a gesture of power? That's why I suggest something like being knighted, something that gives you honor. Bring your right hand onto your right hip and curl your left toes under. I have the top of my right foot down, but you could curl those toes too. And take your hand, your left hand back with your thumb pointing down and out, and bend through your left knee. Now, when I do that, my foot raises enough for me to grab a hold of it. If the balance is tricky, find something to put your right hand on so that you have a little bit of stability instead. And from here, take an inhale to lift your heart up, and on your exhale, it might feel good to squeeze your heel towards your glute. Good. All right. If you'd like, if you feel really well balanced, you could take your right arm up overhead and start to lean back, an open form of the camel pose, or bend your right elbow and take it wide. Looks like this, out to the side. So you can draw your shoulder blades down. Good. If you did something with your right arm or your chest, inhale back through center and exhale to release your left foot. Left hand on left hip or find a wall to support. And exhale, bend your right knee. Take your right hand back, the thumb pointed down, and grab a hold of your right foot. Take an inhale, lift your heart up, and exhale, squeeze your right heel towards your hip. If your quad is really tight, this might be something that's pulling you way back. And so the work to lean forward might even round you as opposed to back bend. Prioritize the quad and the action in your leg. If you do feel pretty stable, your heel is pretty close, you might take your left arm up and reach back, taking an open form of camel, bending it out to the side in a sort of cactusy saguaro shape. And inhale back through center and exhale to release. Sink your hips to your heels. You could sit your hips between your heels if you prefer. We're just going to do a little rocking of the tail. So just like cow-cat seated, inhale, lift your heart up. And initiating with your pelvis, exhale, tuck your tail and sink down. Again, initiating with your tail, inhale, tail goes out, pelvic bowl goes forward, lift your heart up. And exhale, dropping your tail down, letting yourself collapse. Do a few more. Following your breath. Right now, you're tilting your pelvis. All right. Take another inhale to lift through your heart. And on your exhale, shift your weight off to one side. Bring your legs out long. And we're going to do a little bit of boat pose action. So if you love a classic boat pose, feel free to go ahead and do it. And otherwise, grab for the backs of your knees and lift your heart up. Now, to do that, I'm doing this little sort of like, I learned it in African dance, is like popping open at the front of your rib cage. Give yourself space to notice how that can become very shouldery, and think about it coming from the center of your middle back as opposed to the back of your neck. You might stay right here and just lean back until you feel lightness in your feet and breathe. You might lift one leg and then the other, breath by breath. You might lift both shins off the ground. Right, either way, find breath. If you want to straighten your legs and take your arms off the legs or floor for support, turn your palms up and breathe. And if you strayed away from that first position, slowly return back to it, tapping your toes or your heels low to the earth. And we'll all try that lifting of one leg. So try to keep your right knee where it is so that you're just lifting. You're not getting too much closer to yourself, as it were, with your knee, your shin up. So it's just, straightening your leg a little bit more. Inhale and exhale to lower it. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, lower. And follow your breath. Inhale and exhale. Right? Your leg might come all the way straight. It might become parallel to the earth. And try to keep the same line of your body. Now, if that's working out as you breathe, inhale, lift your opposite arm as leg as you go. Or keep both arms up overhead, like you just won the race, whatever it might be. And always do this leaning back against something. Good. Bring your hands back down. Inhale, lift your heart up. And exhale, send your knees to the left. Not so far that you have to go all the way over, but maybe far enough that your right butt cheek lifts off the ground. Now, side body bend is a little bit awkward, so that you're moving your right elbow towards your right hip. Good. Inhale back through center. And exhale, send your knees to the right. Shift over onto your right butt cheek. Side body bend, like you're trying to bring your elbow down towards the earth. Good. Inhale through center. Exhale, send your legs to the left. Shift to your left butt cheek. Inhale to center and exhale, shift to your right. Now, if it starts to feel really familiar, you can even kind of walk your butt cheeks forward one at a time and make this a little bit of a traveling exercise. But be kind to yourself. All right, and then slowly plant your feet and let's roll on down onto the back. So before you get all the way down, we're going to take a little bit of bridge or wheel action. If either of those feel better to you, the Urdhva Dhanurasana, the upward bow, which some people call wheel, or the bridge pose where you interweave the fingers, or if you like a supported form, feel free to do it. And try to come into it and be in it for like 5 to 8 breaths. Slow breaths, kind breaths. You can always come in and out. You can always come out and stay out. You're coming into the Setubandha Sarvangasana, the shoulder bridge. Come down and you might walk your heels in a bit so they feel like they're under your knees, hips distance. Exhale to press your low back down and inhale to lift your hips up. As your hips go, you might rock your shoulders together underneath you. You might interweave your fingers or bend your elbows into those robot arms. You might engage your inner thighs towards one another, but try not to squeeze your knees in aggressively. Press into your heels. Utilize your hamstrings and your glutes to press your hips up. If you're taking a different variation, a supported form, or transitioning your hands to the earth to press up into Urdhva Dhanurasana, please do. And exhale by exhale, unlock your fingers and slowly return your pelvis to the earth. When it gets there, you might knock your knees a little side to side a few times to give yourself relief and space. And when they feel like they can come along for the ride, gather your knees in towards your chest. You can give yourself a good squeeze, rock from side to side. To the left, you could take your legs into that twisted root shape. You're always welcome to wrap one leg around the other or choose to keep the bottom leg straight and then take the top leg over. Take your right arm out if you wish. If it feels okay on your neck, you might look to the right. There's a lot of nerves and important blood vessels in the neck, and sometimes we compress them and can create congestion by turning the head. So if it doesn't feel super lovely for you, go ahead and pick a different choice. Inhale your legs back through center and exhale them over to the right. You might take your left arm out to the left. You might gaze to the left. You might mirror leg variations from side to side, but we are different from side to side, so it may be different. Slowly bring your legs back through center and pick your legs up. You're going to try to do the Supta Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of your feet together in that butterfly shape. Probably lift the upper body up to grab around the feet. I'm going over the top. If grabbing the feet is not for you, though, you could go through underneath and grab a hold of your ankles. You could also grab a hold of your thighs from the outside edge. Slowly bring your upper body down if you lifted it, if that's available. It's okay if your tail lifts up off the ground in these postures. You can stay in this shape, pulling your heels breath by breath towards your navel and pressing your knees away. Transition into a happy baby shape. Bring the soles of your feet up. You can rock a little from side to side and back and forth and around as you need to. And from here, if there's any last finishing actions you need, if you'd like to do an inversion or a stretch or something along those lines, if there's a pose that didn't get named, if there's a ritual or a breathing exercise or a reminder, feel free. And in many ways, this issue of time is just that certain things sit on us, like cling to us, stay with us, are really hard to let go of, hard not to sort of pattern into or against or in response to. It's really how our bodies were made, a lot of how nature reacts and grows over time, as it were, over experience and expansion. And so the reminder is just that, like, things are not necessarily